The Niners beat the Cowboys 30-24 this past Sunday night in a game where they really just kicked their ass and allowed the Cowboys to get back in the game. We're going to talk about all of this and more today on 4th and 1, 49ers Sports Talk with CG Ruthless, and it starts right now. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to 4th and 1, not to be mistaken with that shitty podcast by Cam Newton, but this is 4th and 1 where we talk about the 49ers. And all we talk about is 49ers, and maybe we'll mix in a few other things as well. I'm joined by my co-host, CG Ruthless. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, dude? Hey, just like today, we like this week, we won, and we got the George Kittle special.
Oh, yeah, dude. I love the shirt, man. Fuck the Cowboys, or fuck Dallas. I love it. Right when I saw it, I was like, dude, that's a badass shirt. I love it. And what's great, too, is that George Kittle actually wore that shirt. There was even there was a recording of him talking to, I think it was Ferguson. He said, yeah, I wore the shirt underneath. I just didn't show it. I just wore it for good luck. And so he wore that shirt again for the second time, but he didn't show it off because he just wanted to kind of have it on for good luck. But so we're going to talk about Niners Cowboys. I thought that was a really good game. I thought we learned a lot about the team in that game. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the matchup coming up against the Buccaneers after the bye week. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's to come after the bye week, where the Niners are at, what we can expect, and where we think they're heading out of the bye week. But Chris, I want to start off with a question that will, because it's Halloween. Okay, so we're going to start with a question that sort of relates to Halloween. But before we do any of that, make sure you check out our sponsors. This show is sponsored by SeatGeek. Check out promo code or use promo code Dre Area Sports to save $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. I know my father-in-law just used that, and he saved $20. And Chris, you have a code as well.
CG Ruthless and save yourself $20 also, man. You can go with both ways, man. Either way.
Both ways. Use both promo codes to save yourself $40. That's lunch. That's beer. That's saving you money right there. We're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS has live action betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props, and parlays, fast payouts, and the exceptional one-on-one customer service. They have it all. They will actually get you a, what do you call it? An agent that will help you make your bets and place your bets. I have my own. His name is Sal. He's a great guy, and he will help you make all your bets for whatever sport, whatever team that you're rooting for or betting for. They will also match you up to 125% on your first 3 deposits, up to $2,000. So definitely check out BetUS and use promo code Dre Area Sports to take advantage of that offer from BetUS. And of course, we're brought to you by Power Brand Systems. Use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 when making your first purchase over at Power Brand Systems. They will build you a website for your YouTube channel, social media account, or small business or large business. Whatever you need, they will do it for you. If you want an example of the kind of work that they put out, then definitely check out Nicotina.net. They developed my website, and that's the homepage for all 3 of my channels. Memberships are available over at Nicotina.net for the Dre Area Sports channel, and they start as low as $1 a month. So anything you guys can do to help support the channel, keep the lights running here, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. So with that being said, we talked about BetUS, and they had a question they put out over on X that I really wanted to share with you guys because right when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that's a good Halloween question to drop on Chris. So here we go. Chris, which 49ers moment still haunts you?
Which 49ers moment still haunts me? Man, it's just do I have to, one of the most haunted one to me is it's hard to say, but I have to say the Super Bowl 47. Super Bowl 47, hands down. It was just one of the weirdest Super Bowls I've ever seen. And unfortunately, we lost that game. Who remembers when that lights was off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That was like spooky for a moment. It looked like we were not going to come back. and then somehow it just became a haunted. You can say that Kyle Williams was another one.
Yeah, Kyle Williams, that was a bad one. That was a real bad one.
But I have to say Super Bowl 47 hands down.
Yeah, Super Bowl 47, and that was a rough one because I mean, you know, they came so close. They fought all the way back, only to just lose at the goal line, not be able to get that in the end zone. That was just gut wrenching to watch that.
Yeah.
It was just too much. Even now thinking about it, it's a bad one. I think for me, that's probably a really good one. Excluding the Super Bowls, because we know those are haunting moments. Come on, we can't beat the fucking Chiefs when we should have beat them both times. You know, it is what it is. The Kyle Williams was a big one. That one really, really destroyed me inside. But if I had to go with the most haunted moment that still haunts me, I would agree with you. The Super Bowl against the Ravens, that seemed like it was destined to happen. They came all the way back. They drove the ball all the way down to the red zone, and they couldn't get it in. That was absolutely heartbreaking. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
That was the most gut-wrenching one.
Yeah, it is, because it seemed like the football gods were giving us some hope when we were down that bad, but we just couldn't get it done. That's something I still got to live with. I mean, yeah, just erase the Chief once because it doesn't seem as haunted to me. It just seems more like a mistake situation, but I would say Super Bowl 47 hands down.
Yeah, I think when you look back at Super Bowl 47, one of the things that stands out to me was Jim Harbaugh's decision to go for 2 when he could have just went for the extra point and we'd still be down, I think, 2 points. So a field goal could have, could either won or tied the game. I forgot which one it was. And he went for 2 and they didn't get it. That's what it was. He could have, a field goal would have tied the game. Instead, they had to drive down the field and score a touchdown because now they were down by 4. And so they had to go all the length of the field. And I was like, man, I don't agree with that move, but that was pretty bad. I mean, and there are other losses that are out there. The loss to Tampa Bay after we had that miracle comeback against the Giants. We went against the Buccaneers in the NFC title game, and they completely kicked the crap out of us. That was pretty bad. Kyle Williams was probably one of the worst ones because that team could have won the Super Bowl. Easily. That team could have easily have done it. And I want to say that was against the Patriots that year. Yeah. And the Giants beat the Patriots. I remember watching that game, and this wasn't the 16-0 Patriots. And I remember watching that game, and when it was over, I thought, dude, the Niners could have beat this team. This team wasn't that good, and they could have. But the Kyle Williams, and it always seems like in our biggest games, the special team shows up and rears its ugly fucking head. We saw last year, Ray McLeod muffed that punt. The Chiefs had zero momentum at that point. That put them right there at like the 30-yard line, and they scored a touchdown, and that got them back in the game. Our defense was dominating them the entire game, and that gave them life. And they scored a touchdown and got them in the game. That was the worst thing that could have happened. It was the one thing that I was like, man, as long as we don't screw up on special teams, I think we got this. And then that happened. And then Kyle Williams happened. Oh, it's just like, damn it. And then on top of that, when you go back to Super Bowl 47, they allowed the kick return to start the half.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my God, they just ran it back for a touchdown? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, a lot of haunting moments for the Niners. I have a lot of haunting moments for the Giants as well, the baseball Giants. But no, this is and Warriors too. I'm sure you have some for your beloved Lakers.
I gotta say the Celtics finals and those other games. I mean, I know there's some Kings fans that have that haunted towards my Lakers because we kind of took away something from them.
Hey, but you know what though? I'm a wholehearted all the way through thick and thin. I am a Warriors fan, and at the time I hated the Kings, so I was actually rooting for the Lakers in that playoff series against them. I was like, "Come on, Lakers, fuck these Kings," and Lakers won. That's when Kobe and Shaq came together with the alley-oop, and they're like, "Oh, they're on the same page now." Like whatever. But yes, so looking at which Niner moments still haunt you when watching this stream, guys. Let me know, what is your most haunted moment being a 49er fan? Go ahead and leave it in the chat or leave it in the comment section below and let us know what you think. We both agree that Super Bowl 47 was probably the most haunted moment that I could think of, where it felt like we should have won that game. It felt like we should have won all three of these Super Bowls, but it felt like we should have won that game. My fear is that if the Niners somehow scratch and claw their way back into the Super Bowl this year and they got to go against the Chiefs for a third time, I'm going to be so nervous the entire time, because I thought for sure this past year we were going to do it. You know, we had Brock, we were humming, we had McCaffrey, you know, and it just didn't happen. But I mean, they beat us in overtime. It wasn't like we got our ass kicked or anything. So anyway,
it was a closer game. It could have possibly gone into 2 overtimes if it would have gone the other way around. But yeah,
scary shit, man.
But maybe third time's the charm, man. Maybe the Chiefs will get a little too cocky on us.
But that's the thing, though, is that I don't want to become like the Buffalo Bills of the NFC. You know, like we got to win one of these games, man. And on top of that, I said something during the game last year to my other 2 co-hosts for the post-game live. We all watched it together with a bunch of other people. And one of the things I said, and I probably should never have said it, but I said it because I was pissed drunk, was I said, if we lose this game, we're gonna be the Bengals. We're gonna be Pat Mahomes Bengals. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, Montana beat the Bengals twice. We're gonna be like his version of the Bengals. They're like, oh fuck, that sucks. And then we lost. I was like, God damn it! I spoke it into existence. I shouldn't have said it, but it is what it is. So staying on Halloween, I saw this. I want to share it with you. This is a great costume right here. There we go.
Damn.
The cops arresting Tyreek Hill. That's brutal.
That's brutal.
That's brutal.
Because it would happen like early this season, but there's different kind of funny costumes. I don't know if you saw this one costume. Did you see Macaulay dress up as Joe Burrow?
Yes, Macaulay Culkin as Joe Burrow. That was perfect. I was like, oh my god, where has that been? Why haven't we seen more of that? I was like, gosh. And then I also want to bring up, where is it? I thought I had another one. I guess I don't. But, you know, I thought that was a great Halloween costume. I loved it as a Tyreek Hill getting arrested. I thought it was hilarious. But let's talk about Niners and Cowboys. So the Niners took care of business this past Sunday night. They beat the Cowboys 30-24, and they moved to 4-4 heading into the bye week. Chris, what were your initial impressions on the Niners-Cowboy game?
Well, this was definitely a must-win for both teams because both teams were coming off some struggles, but the Cowboys had more of an advantage because they were good on the road, but they were coming off a bye. You thought maybe they could have had some guys coming back from injuries, but it wasn't the case. The Niners, it was pretty much pressure for them, so they had a good. I mean, they were starting up slow in the first half, but then
yes,
third
absolutely,
third quarter, everything started clicking.
And, you know, I felt like in the third quarter, they went back to what worked for them last year. They went back to short yardage passes and then letting George Kittle and Deebo Samuel gain those yak yardage. It feels like they're trying to push the ball further downfield and go for big chunk yardage. But I felt like in the third quarter, they went back to feed the ball to your superstars and let them gain those yak yards and let them gain the big chunk yardage on their feet. And I thought that looked better for the Niners. I mean, we saw George Kittle catch that pass across the middle, and he ran for like 38 yards. It was great. So I really like what I saw from the Niners offense in the second half. I thought Brock looked more comfortable. Brock's scrambling ability came alive, which he wasn't doing in the first half. And for the first time this year, I felt like we saw huge adjustments being made into the second half. We saw them taking advantage of that 6-man front that the Cowboys were showing us and taking advantage of the mismatches that were in the secondary. And I just like what I saw from the Niners. I mean, they look more dominant. They were moving at a better pace. They were getting chunk yardage. They were getting yak yardage. It just looked so much better.
Yeah, it sure did. Because the adjustments were like, it was a little different because they had to try to pressure Brock more and do different looks. And I get it that a lot of teams are starting to look at the film of what's been working against Brock Purdy, but some of it just hasn't panned out for some of these teams. But, you know, the crazy stat line is Brock Purdy had more rushing yards than the Cowboys Offense.
Oh, the Cowboys, they had no rushing game at all. I mean, the one thing we saw from Kansas City the week before was that we saw a lot of rushing. We saw a lot of rushing attempts, and we saw a lot of rushes being ran towards Charvarius Ward. We know that Charvarius Ward isn't the best against the run, and most of the time, especially when they had to have a big run, they ran directly at Ward because he's weak against the run. Here's my thing, though, is that I really feel like when you look at our rookies, the highest graded defensive player in last week's game against the Cowboys was Renardo Green. And so I'm starting to believe that Renardo Green is going to make Mooney Ward expendable, because instead of trying to pay him a whole bunch of money, you got to pay Deommodore Lenoir. Lenoir's killing it this year. And so I think that this may be the last year that we're going to see Charvarius Ward. I also think it's probably the last year we're going to see Talanoa Hufanga, because Mustafa is playing out of his mind right now. Mustafa and Ward are a great tandem back at the safety positions. And even when Hufanga comes back, supposedly wearing a cast, I don't see him uprooting Malik Mustafa. What do you think about that?
I think you're right about it, because, like, you know how it is with this with these players when they're given opportunities and they showcase it. I think Malik Mustafa is already going to hold on to that starting role. I just don't see Hufanga taking it back. I think he's going to be in some situational package plays or something, or maybe try to get involved in certain plays. But Malik Mustafa is already becoming the cheaper option, so they don't got to worry about retaining Hufanga. Unless his value drops very badly, then maybe you can bring him back. But I think, like you said, Ward's going to cost a little more money, but we already got Renaldo Green, who's actually playing at a very high level. Yeah, very high level. Like, he's made a little bit of mistakes, but most of the games he's been on point. He's been very consistent, aggressive in coverage. He is good against the run too, which I like about his game. He actually goes tackles and all that stuff. So he has that confidence that I look for in a cornerback. If you're going to play that position, you got to have confidence, and you got to do a little trash talking, just like Lenoir. Lenoir deserves to get his new contract at some point. But yeah, I think it's going to have to come down to Lenoir staying.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he had the highest graded PFF for a rookie in Week 8. That's Renardo Green. His man coverage has been solid, and that's what he played a lot of at Florida State, was man coverage, and he's making a huge difference. And you know, I love Mooney Ward, but this year just really has not been his year. I know he was out for a little while with a knee injury. But he just doesn't seem like the same player he was the past 3 seasons. So I don't think we're at a point where the Niners are going to replace Mooney Ward with Renardo Green, because, you know, Ward does have the experience, but Ward needs to step up his game because they're taking advantage of him. The other teams are, and I'm not sure what's going on with him. But on the other side, Deommodore Lenoir is absolutely killing it. He had the interception off of a Dak Prescott, that's a whole other story I don't even want to get into right now. But so I think he's having a great year, Deommodore Lenoir, and he deserves a contract over Mooney Ward at this point, especially when you have Renardo Green just right there who could take over for him. So that's my plan. If I was the GM going into this offseason, is say goodbye to Hufanga and Ward and go with Mustafa and Renardo Green. I think you can find a good slot corner, because we know that, you know, Ward is not going to be cheap. He's going to want a bunch of money again, and I think he may be past his prime, but who knows? We'll see how he plays in the second half of the year, because it's a contract year for him too, so he's going to have to step up. Let me ask you, Chris. I was really impressed with Isaac Guerendo. Now, this is a guy that came into the game because J.P. Mason went out. What would you take on Isaac Guerendo?
What would I take from Isaac Guerendo is, like, he's gotten better with the snaps and reps that he needed. I mean, as a rookie going into the beginning of the season, he was still trying to adjust on how to run to the holes quickly. So I like how he's reacted quickly on the holes lately. Like, Guerendo has that speed. He can be the home run guy, and he's exactly as advertising. It's just he seems he's raw. Let's just say he's raw. He's got more, like, he hasn't reached his potential yet. And I see a lot of Raheem Mostert in his game.
Yeah. He has that explosive speed, and we saw that in his runs up the middle. He was going so fast. I was like, holy cow. And I really felt like this game against the Cowboys, he seemed much more comfortable going up the middle and trying to get that edge along the sides as well, because he in previous games it always seemed like when they gave him the ball that he was kind of thinking about what he was doing, trying to see the hole, he was processing as he was running. This time he was just full speed ahead. I don't give a fuck who's in front of me. I'm gonna run right past you, and he seemed more confident. And when you look at this is courtesy of Coach Yak over on X, which you got to follow because this guy, he drops some serious knowledge. Rookie running back rushing yardage leaders. Right now, Isaac Arendo is fourth with 227 yards just on 37 rushes. Bucky Irving, who's number one, he has 395 on 76.
Yeah.
Ray Davis, 242 on 57. He only has 37 rushes, and he looked really, really good for being a fourth-round pick. And that's one thing, too, is that the Niners have struck gold on all their draft picks this year.
Yes, they did. Like in the previous years, we would question Kyle going for running backs too early. Like in the past, it would be like, oh, not this again. But I guess under the circumstances, he wasn't picking the third round, so it was like a fourth round. So I had a feeling looking at this kid's scouting report, this was the guy I kept hearing about because he was a combine speed guy, and I'm like thinking, like when I keep seeing his name pop up a lot, I'm like, okay, that's like a Kyle Shanahan guy. It wouldn't surprise me if we get this guy third or fourth round.
And with CMC coming back after the bye week, I still see them trying to find ways to work Garendo in, because you saw so much promise out of this last game from his running ability. It's like, see, you saw the potential, and you're like, well, do I bury him in the roster, or do we find ways to get him out there? I think we'll see him more in special teams. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball just to see what he can do. But really, unless JP Mason's 100%, I think the Niners are going to go with a CMC, JP Mason kind of two-headed monster.
For right now,
we'll see how that goes. Another big thing from our rookies as well is Dominic Pooney. Holy shit. Dominic Pooney is one of 7 guards who played more than 100 pass blocking snaps without allowing a sack or a quarterback hit this season. That is huge compared to what we got from Spencer Burford last year. And so Dominic Pooney has been just a revelation on the offensive line. He's such an upgrade from what we've had in the past. I know that they started to work out Spencer Burford as a right tackle. If you could figure that out, that'd be even better. But what are your thoughts so far on Dominic Pooney?
Dominic Pooney has been as good as advertising. Like, I've seen a lot of his film from Kansas. I mean, he was like the one guy that didn't allow a single sack throughout his career at Kansas. He was a tackle, but I don't think he's ever played guard in college, which is remarkable. Like, he had to play a different position. Like, looking into the draft, I thought, well, maybe he can be our tackle, right? But who would have thought this guy would have been our guard, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he stepped in and he's taken over that position like he's been playing guard his entire career. And he's getting second level blocks. He's doing everything. It's incredible what he's able to accomplish. With just
it seems natural.
Yeah, it seems natural. Absolutely, it seems natural. And dude, I absolutely love Dominic Pooney, and I can't wait to see what McCaffrey can do running behind Dominic Pooney.
Well, yeah, I was excited about this pick because I actually thought, well, if we're not going to get a lineman in the first round, then we can get Dominic Pooney or Cooper Beebe, one of those guys in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy about the Pooney pick, man. I was happy we got him in the third round, but we traded up from the Eagles. So let me give you a good joke, Kent. Okay, so remember last year, this guy we got rid of off the Eagles sideline?
Oh, who was that?
Big Dom, but we moved so we move up to the 86th pick to get our own Big Dom.
That's it. That's our Big Dom. And he's still running around the sidelines too, Big Dom.
Yeah.
I remember last year they were like, oh, well, he's important because he keeps Nick Sirianni from losing his cool on the sidelines. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, he's that unstable? Come on, man. That's ridiculous. So let's take a look at some of the numbers from the game. Brock Purdy was 18-26 for 260 yards and a touchdown. I thought Brock Purdy in this game, he really showed that he can overcome adversity. He had a bad first half. He had a couple of passes, one to George Kittle and one across the middle to Deebo Samuel that he just did not put it on the receiver, and it caused a turnover because it was fourth down, and Debo had to reach back to grab it, couldn't hang on to it, and that was a gimme first down. Same with George Kittle. He had an open for a first down, he overthrew him, and that caused us to punt the ball. So those are passes that Brock Purdy has to make. But then in the second half, we saw Brock come out and just start balling, not only with his arm but with his legs as well. He had where is it? He had eight carries for 56 yards, as long as it was a 16-yard scamper. Now there was a run he did where he faked the handoff. It was supposed to be a screenplay, and the linebacker read that play and would have picked it off if he would have tried to get it to Debo. Instead, he tucks it in and he runs. I believe it was for that 16-yarder. Now, for me, I'm wondering, was that a designed run? I don't think it was. I think Brock saw that and just decided, I'm going to go. And those are the things. Those are the intangibles that you can't teach a young quarterback. They just have to know. One of the things that Tom Brady recently said was that these days, they're not developing quarterbacks in college the way they used to. But when you look at Brock Purdy, he played all 4 years at Iowa State. So he learned a lot about the quarterback position, about the drop back game, how to throw out of a pocket. And it shows because he's more developed than a lot of these quarterbacks coming out of the draft.
Yeah. I think it's because he was a fit to this offense, and he played he played like 4 years in college. So he played some good competition. Like, you look at the Big 12, right? It's got some good schools, but mostly, like, not a knock on them, but most of their defense are not that great. But you see that he can spread the ball, right? Put up the numbers. Like, as an Oklahoma Sooners fan, he put up some crazy numbers too in one of those shootout games. So I can speak by experience. But the one thing that nobody realized or underestimated Brock Purdy is he can move. Like he's not some stationary quarterback. He's not like Jared Goff going to stand around the pocket or
like a statue. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to move. So if the teams are going to do man coverage, go ahead. But you're going to leave Brock Purdy with some lanes to run 15 yards, man. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. And he showed it. I know he had 3 to 4, maybe even 5. Well, obviously he had 8, but he had 3 or 4 really good runs that he was able to get big chunk yardage and first downs. And those are the kind of runs that kill defenses, where they lose contain and the quarterback runs for a first down. I love what I saw from Brock Purdy in the second half. I was all pissed off at him, like, oh, what's going on with this guy? And then in the second half, he proved the naysayers wrong, and he shut me up too. I was just like, dude, I love Brock Purdy. I love him. Dak Prescott, 25 of 38 for 243, 2 touchdowns that came in garbage time, and 2 picks. I mean, this guy is so unclutch, especially against the Niners. That second interception that he threw to that was picked off by Deommodore Lenoir. That was such a costly interception. The Niners got the ball, drove it straight down their throat, scored a touchdown to start the second half. And then what do? He comes back and throws an interception deep in his own zone. I was just like, bro, what are you doing? And he gave him the ball like on the 30-yard line. I was like, you suck, dude. And they gave him all that money. He's their franchise quarterback. And he's making these mistakes. And again, the Niners give up 14 points in the fourth quarter. That's something that they cannot do moving forward. That's something that Nick Sorensen needs to figure out how to prevent, especially going against teams like the Packers and the Bills. Can't be giving up 14 points in the fourth quarter. But overall, I mean, that was in garbage time. The Niners considered it garbage time, it seemed like, because they were just playing in their prevent defense. But what did you think about Dak Prescott in this game?
Well, Prescott's supposedly supposed to be saving the Cowboys, but he's not. Like, if you look at his numbers, it's based by garbage stats, It's
garbage stats.
Yeah, like, he's afraid. Like, when he plays against tougher teams, he's not, like, he doesn't play with calm and poise. Like, he just looks confused. He looks scared. And the crazy part is he's afraid of running, dude. Like, if nobody's open, go scramble for once. He's starting to look like a stationary quarterback now.
He is. Ever since he got his foot turned sideways, he seems like he can't run at all anymore. So that's something that is missing from his game. And but they signed him to a fat contract, so good luck with that. Zeke Elliott, his career just about over. He had 10 carries for 34 yards. Yeah, he had a touchdown, but that was like a goal line run. The one guy I thought that they were going to take advantage of the Cowboys was I thought they were going to use Kevontae Turpin a lot more because you saw what what's his name for the Rams,
Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell did to them. You saw what a lot of burners do to them. I thought they would take him over the top and go for a deep ball. They never really did at all, which I thought was kind of strange because that's a weakness for the Niners. He only had one catch for 16 yards, and he did an end-around run, which he did get a first down, so that was good. But still, I thought he was underutilized. CeeDee Lamb, 13 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you have him on fantasy, that's a monster game. You're like, yes! But
absolutely,
I love what George Kittle did on National Tight Ends Day. 6 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 4 catches, 71 yards. And Ricky Pearsall, 4 catches, 38 yards. If you want Ricky Pearsall to take over for Brandon Ayuk, based on this year, I think Pearsall is right on par with this year's version of Brandon Ayuk. 4 catches for 38 yards. That's what you would have got at Ayuk, most likely.
Yeah, you would have, because you're getting somebody that runs routes and does exactly similar, if not close enough. But from this fantasy matchup, Pearsall gave me 11 points. So hey, hopefully it gets more down the road, But it's a start.
I think that Ricky Pearsall showed, and really this was his first full game. He played the week before, but like he was just coming back. I think he only had 2 live practices. Now he's had a lot more, especially going into after the bye against the Buccaneers. I really feel like Pearsall can be that version of Brandon Ayuk. I think that he has that separation ability where he can get himself open and really challenge the secondary. I like what I saw out of Ricky Pearsall. If Pearsall can do what Brandon Ayuk was doing, that's going to be deadly for the Niners, especially going into next year. My God.
It will be when you get a healthy Ayuk coming back. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just more excited for Jauan Jennings. I know he's been missing time, but he should be back this week.
They need him back badly.
Yeah, they do. He's reliable on third downs, and he can make the catches. I mean, he may not be the fastest, but he's a sure-handed receiver that will make the catches and put you in good situations.
Yeah, and he's a big-time receiver as well. He'll make the big catch under a lot of heat. He'll make that catch for you. You can count on that. And I thought Chris Conley, he was out there a lot. I like seeing him out there, but I think that Ricky Pearsall has a lot of talent, and already in just a short amount of time, he's already made a big difference. And Pearsall had that end around where he ran for 39 yards. And what is the deal with Chris Collinsworth? He may not be the fastest, he may not be the best receiver, but he sure has some skill. I was like, dude, what is your deal, dude? Just call the replay. Just tell us what we're looking at. We don't need your damn opinion on Ricky Pearsall, who's only played in 2 games. It was ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know about the fastest. I mean, he runs a 4.41, so that's pretty fast.
Well, Collinsworth is just still butthurt that he lost to the Niners, and you could tell it's still there. It still haunts him.
Yeah, but isn't Pearsall one of his Florida alums?
I know, right? You would think he'd be like, "Oh yeah, out of Florida, this is the real deal." But you know what? Chris Collinsworth is just—he
sounds like a creep. Like you can tell he sounds like a creep.
Have you seen his son? His son does another show, and he sounds just like him. They sound almost identical. I was like, dude, are you serious? We have another Collinsworth coming up in the ranks because of his father, obviously, but still. So Niners whooped ass on the Cowboys. I love seeing it. We all love seeing it. They moved to 4-4 on the year. It was very important for them to get this win and move to 4-4 because actually going out of the bye, you got the Buccaneers, you have Seattle. I think you have Seattle. Then I think you have Arizona, and then Packers and Bills. And so what?
I looked it up. So we do got Buccaneers, we got Seahawks, and then we got the Packers and Bills.
So those are the 4 games. So no Arizona. They're a little bit later. It might be after the Bills. But those are the 4 games, the gauntlet that everyone's been talking about. I think, to be honest, I feel like going into that game, going into the Buccaneers game, I think the Niners will beat the Buccaneers. I think they'll beat them big as well because they're still not going to have Mike Evans. They're still not going to have Chris Godwin, who got his foot ripped off. So they're down the number 1 and number 2 receivers. Now you could say, well, they're going to have a couple of weeks to get used to having the other receivers, but it's not going to be enough. I think the Niners make a statement game coming out of the bye. I think Christian McCaffrey, I don't know if he has a huge game, but his presence alone is going to change everything for the 49ers because he is their biggest threat. He is their team. And I'm just super excited to see CMC back on the field in a Niners uniform. Do you think that getting CMC back will make a huge difference going into the Buccaneers game?
I think it will because he's a big threat for our offense. Like he's going to definitely open up the passing game more, if not the running game, because they're going to try to find ways to stop him. But before we had trouble separation, we had trouble doing separation, some yaks. But some people say maybe it's because CMC's not out there. Expect the yaks and the separation to increase once CMC comes back. I think that's what's going to make a big difference.
Well, I think another thing they might try and do as well is line up CMC in the slot and have JP Mason as the running back. So now you're like, oh shit, and then you have Kittle and Jennings and Debo out there. So they're just going to load it up with weapons and make you have to decide how you're going to defend this team. And the things that he brings to the game are huge. His pass catching ability out of the backfield is gigantic because we've seen the amount of throws. Yeah. We've seen the amount of throws that he's given to JP Mason, not that many, but when CMC comes back, he's going to be like, oh, where's he at? There he is. Bam. And so I really can't wait to see CMC back on the field as a Niner. I think obviously he's going to start the game as your running back number one. And I think we're going to really see the difference between, let's say, Mason, Guerendo, and him. He's going to have that burst of speed that Guerendo has, and the be able to break tackles like JP Mason. And I think fans are going to see it right away. Like, wow, this guy is really effing good. We've been missing him a lot. So I can't wait for him to come back, man. I really can't.
Yeah, it's going to definitely make this offense a lot better. I expect the red zone to be a lot better than the first half of the season.
Absolutely. Oh, the red zone offense is going to highly benefit from having him out there. I mean, that's going to be a huge upgrade. Another guy coming back, and it might not be right after the bye week, is Dre Greenlaw. This comes courtesy of the SF Niners. But Greenlaw coming back, I was listening to Larry Krueger, and he was talking about how he might be coming back closer to December. But either way, he's coming back. And that's going to be huge for the Niners. Devondre Campbell had his best game against the Cowboys, that's for sure. I thought he made some big-time tackles when he's been struggling in most games. But the Cowboys are too stupid to take advantage of Devondre Campbell, so he was able to just kind of be in his comfort zone and just make tackles and not have to worry about defending receivers or tight ends. But getting him back is going to be huge because already we've seen a lot of teams are targeting Devondre Campbell and taking advantage of his ability to not cover a single person in the secondary. If you put a tight end, running back, or receiver that he has to cover, that player has already won because Campbell cannot keep up. He's just going to tackle you instead of cover you. But getting Greenlaw back is going to be huge. And they might end up working him back in. I don't know if he's going to start right away. I hope he does. But just having him out there is going to be huge. Chris, are you excited to see Dre Greenlaw back on the field?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what his physical presence is going to be on the field because when he wasn't on the field, even on the sidelines, his presence was felt what he did to Trey McBride. So I'm pretty sure it's going to make a huge difference because if he was playing the Chiefs on that other week, I'm pretty damn sure Mahomes wouldn't have run that way. No,
he would have been there.
He would have been laid out.
And having him and Warner out there running around, like you can see it this year how big of a difference it is to have both Greenlaw and Warner out there compared to Greenlaw and Campbell. But like I said, I thought Campbell had his best game of the year. Now, can he consistently do that? I don't know, probably not. but hey, at least he's trying.
Yeah, he's trying, but he's up in age, so.
He is. So the Niners, Dre Greenlaw is expected to be week to week once they return from the bye week, according to Kyle Shanahan. Lynch added on KNBR that Dre has been awesome in his recovery. So, like I said, we're not going to see him coming out of the bye week, but I think a target day for Dre Greenlaw is probably going to be the Packer game or the Bills on the road. I think Packers is the game that he comes back. That's my prediction. I could be dead wrong, but You could argue that the Seahawk game could be his target return game because it's at home. But I think the Packers game is where they're going to need him the most.
I would say, okay, so if you want to go by accurate on this one, yeah, I'm gonna definitely go on the same boat as you. I'm gonna say the Packer game for sure.
Let me see. If it's not the Packers,
the Bills, but
the Bills, and if it's not the Bills, it's going to be the Bears. 12-8.
It wouldn't be a shocker if he plays against Seattle. It wouldn't be a shocker.
I'm sure he wants to play against Seattle, but it's a matter of the Niners if they'll let him. They'll be like, no, it's too soon. If we run the gauntlet and we beat all four of these teams coming out of the bye week, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Packers, Bills, that's going to be huge.
Huge difference. Yeah, it will be huge momentum. And
7-4.
Yeah,
and imagine if you got back Greenlaw for the Bears after you beat all four of those teams. That would be gigantic.
Actually, 8-4.
8-4.
Okay, so yeah, and especially if you get them against the Bears, ooh, yeah, that's going to be huge boost, and this might be the hottest team going into the season. So yeah,
absolutely. Because when you get past these four games, you got the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins. We could beat all three of those teams. The Lions, that's going to be a really hard game, and then the last game of the year is against the Cardinals. But by the time he gets to the Lions, I think that the division will be set at that point. If the Niners win out, especially the next four games, I think that the Lions game won't mean as much to the Niners, but it actually may. Who knows? And then one last thing I wanted to bring up when it comes to injury report, Jake Moody. This comes courtesy of the SF Niners. John Lynch is optimistic that Jake Moody will be able to return versus the Bucs. I think that when you go against the Bucs, I wouldn't mind seeing Anders Carlson out there one more time before you get Jake Moody. And look, from going from Matthew Wright to Anders Carlson, sorry, you can see how big of a leg Jake Moody has in terms of like his leg strength. Like when he kicks field goals, the ball like rips through the net hella hard. You know, these other guys are like, especially Matthew Wright. Matthew Wright looks like when he kicks a field goal, it looks like me trying to throw the ball through the field goal. Like, it's just such a low line drive kick. It's like, oh man. But yeah, we're gonna get Jake Moody back. That's huge because he's got experience. He's been in the Super Bowl where he hit all of his kicks in the Super Bowl. Got one block, but whatever. And that turned out to be that's another game-changing play right there. Jesus Christ. Okay, but Jake Moody coming back. Are you excited for Jake Moody to come back?
In a way, I am, but then there's a side of me that says, "Man, okay, let's just hope he makes the kick."
I know. You never know with him. You never know. Okay, so before we go into our last segment, which is 4th and 1, I want to ask you. I wanted to get your opinion on this. What were your thoughts on Anthony Richardson on taking himself out of the game? Did you see this at all?
Yeah, I've heard about it. Like he said something about that he's tired or something. Like,
yeah, so this is what he said right here. Let me go ahead and share this real quick. This was him at the press conference after the game. This is what he said.
Next play, so I just man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there that I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just this whole thing, I just needed a break right there.
Why would you need a break? The offensive line, they don't get breaks. It's like, that's the problem with this generation is that they feel so entitled. I mean, he literally got up, did the head tap, and they pulled him out, and he just sat on the bench like, it's like, bro, you can't just take yourself out of the game. This ain't basketball where it's like, hey, I need a breather. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't understand why he would do this.
It just seems like he's making it such an issue. But to be honest with you, man, with that Colts offensive line, bro, can you blame that guy?
I mean, the Colts suck. Let's not. I mean, obviously, there's even a 1-minute video of the receivers dropping passes from Anthony Richardson. But as a leader of a team, man, you can't take yourself out of a game. I don't care if you're playing football, baseball, basketball. If you're in the red zone, if you're at work and it's crunch time, you can't just take yourself out of things. Like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going to go to the break room and sit down for a minute. I'm going to go to the office. I'll be back. You're a leader. You can't do that.
You can't walk out. Yeah.
You can't walk out. And it's like, you just got to finish that drive and then take your seat and be like, woof, I put a lot out there for you. And now because of that, he has been benched and they're going to go with Joe Flacco the rest of the year. Now,
39-year-old Joe Flacco, man. Ooh.
and he played for them the past 2 weeks, and he actually put up good numbers. So I think a combination of his of Richardson's numbers this year and what he did in this previous game, I think they made the decision. Hey, look, let's just sit him down and let him learn the rest of the season. But what does this mean, though? I think that if the Colts lose a couple more games, they're going to be out of it. And so I know the Niners. There's been talk the Niners might go after DeForest Buckner. That would be amazing. I would love to see DeForest Buckner back in a Niners uniform.
Yeah, because he was really good on our D lineman, and him and Armstead together were a pretty nice combination at Oregon, and they were good together. But we should have kept him over Armstead personally, but he generated good pressure on the interior defensive line.
We got a comment here from Ricky Diaz saying, and the way you're wrong is the way you're right. The Colts are a good team. They're young. They're very young, but they're getting better. Certain things that you said, my friend, I agree, but not all. My point is that like you can blame the team or you cannot blame the team. I just think when it comes to character and being a leader, you can't just take yourself out of the game. You didn't see Derek Carr. What's his name? What's his brother's name? David Carr. When he got sacked the most times in the history of the NFL, you didn't see him like, I need a breather. No, he just stayed out there because you're a quarterback. You're a leader. You got to stay out there. Unless you're hurt, he would have been better off lying. Now, I appreciate his honesty saying, hey, I'm not going to lie. I was tired. But that's not a good reason. If he would have lied, and I say this, just if he would have lied and just said, my knee was sore, and so I wanted to, make sure that I was 100%, and then I went back out there again. They would have just dropped it. But in fact, he's like, I was tired. It's like, come on, man. It's a poor excuse. And then there was this right here. This is his acknowledgement of being benched, and I wanted to get your take on this as well. So let's go ahead and pull this up real quick.
Does this kind of take a hit on your confidence?
Nah, of course not, man. I'm blessed and highly favored. I got God on my side, I got the Lord on my side. He always with me. So this is another, just something for me to jump over and just grow from and just learn from.
What do you think about that?
I kind of think he just didn't care for the mindset. Like, dude, don't you feel kind of a little bit disappointed that you just lost your job over a guy that's should have been retired years ago?
Exactly. But I think he feels overconfident because he was the number 4 pick. They're like, they're not going to get rid of me. It's fine. So we'll see how that pans out. We'll see how it pans out, but still, you can't.
Trey Lance. He seemed like another Trey Lance the way it seems.
Trey Lance. Oh my God.
No, but you can tell he's a project from Florida.
Yeah, and he's got talent. He has scrambling ability. He has a strong arm. My God, he might miss a bunch of short passes, but then he'll hit one for 70 yards. You're like, holy fuck. Yeah, so it's pretty insane.
It's off the charts. You can say the measurables and all that other stuff. It don't mean nothing unless you can actually do it consistently.
Exactly. And so maybe he will. We'll see how that shakes out through the rest of the year. But let's move on to our next segment, which is a game that we like to play here, and it's called 4th and 1. Now, okay, so for 4th and 1, I'm going to ask you a set of questions. Your responses are either going to be that you're going to punt or you're going to go for it, okay? So here we go. First question, the Niners will beat the Bucs. Do you punt?
Or do I punt or do I go for it? I'm going to go for it.
Fuck yeah. I absolutely agree. I think they're going to win this game. I think there's no way the Bucs are going to be able to stop the Niners. I think coming out the bye, they're going to be well disciplined. They're going to go over all the mistakes they've made, and they're going to make sure not to do those again. I mean, we saw the same kind of thing out of the gate when they played against the Jaguars last year. And last year, the Jaguars were coming off a bye week, and they were one of the hottest teams in the league, and the Niners just destroyed them coming out of their bye week. So I think we're going to see the same thing that we saw last year.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. The Niners will go on a run after the bye week.
The Niners will go on a run after the bye week. Yeah, I'm going for it.
And then based on that, do you think that we'll win all 4 games? Or what are you predicting? Or what do you think the Niners will get out of these next 4 games?
Next 4 games. It really depends on it, but I say out of the 4 games, I say we win 3 out of the 4. Because I mean, I think Buffalo would probably be your legitimate loss because they're really like a good football team. But the Packers, we've tend to play them pretty well, so it wouldn't shock her. But I would say 3 out of 4. But I wouldn't be surprised if we go 4-0 down the stretch.
I think we drop. I think there's a chance that we lose to either the Bills or the Packers.
One of the two.
I think if we beat the Packers in Lambeau, then I think that will take so much out of us that we'll lose to Buffalo. But that's also a Sunday night game, the Buffalo game. So you get a little bit extra rest time. If they could beat both of them, holy crap.
That would be, we're on a hot streak going into.
Oh, yeah. And we'll have CMC back and maybe even Dre Greenlaw. So it's going to be interesting to see. To me, if you're being conservative and you want to make sure Dre Greenlaw is 100%, I think he comes back. The conservative route is to have him come back against the Bears. That's after the Bills game at home against the Bears. But I hope he comes back before that. All right, next one. CMC will be the biggest difference maker in the second half of the season.
I'm going for it.
Yeah, because, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe the red zone's going to improve significantly. Like you're going to see the offense start to open up more, and then the red zone offense is going to increase significantly better. So yeah, I'm going for it.
Okay. Next question. Next statement. The Niners will use a 3 running back system. Do you go for it or are you going to punt?
Man, if this was 2019, I would have gone for it. But the way it seems like, I got to say punt.
Yeah, I would say punt as well because, Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't like using 3 backs. He never has really. And so I think this becomes a Christian McCaffrey, JP Mason running back system. But it wouldn't surprise me if he overly used Christian McCaffrey instead of JP Mason because that's just how he likes to run things. He likes a certain way. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, buddy. Okay, so let's go on to our next question, which is the trade deadline. Defensive line is the biggest need for the Niners going towards the trade deadline. I don't know why I have a J in there, but anyway. Do you think the defensive line is the biggest need for the Niners going into the trade deadline?
I got to say go for it because I think if we can get another defensive line, I believe it can make a huge difference. It can jumpstart what we had last year because, Leonard Floyd, don't get me wrong. He was a good pickup, but there hasn't been so much consistency. You look at both have been the more consistent, but Samuel Kawanu and then the rest of the guys, not so much. Mm-hmm. So you need to get another edge rusher. Like make a move how you got Randy Gregory and how you got Chase Young. I don't care who you get. Just go get Arden Key. Go get that guy.
I think they should get a couple of guys. I would love to bring back Arden Key. But I think the interior defensive line is where they need the most help. Jordan Elliott is doing okay, but he's been hurt a lot, and I think he's better suited as a backup to that defensive line spot. If they were able to get like a DJ Jones, DeForest Buckner, I think that would be huge in terms of helping them stop the run game. But we'll see what they do. Azeez Ojulari is a name that's been thrown out there a lot. I know that there was a post that teams have been inquiring about. What's his name? Myles Garrett. Yeah. I don't think they'll trade him, but if I would give up multiple first-round picks for that guy. That would be can you imagine that?
Yeah, if you give up for that, that's a game changer. But there's another report also. So Darius Smith is another option.
Darius Smith.
And then the one that's a wild card is Jadeveon Clowney. And then I heard this rumor, okay? I don't know if this is true, but if Dolphins don't turn out good, we might be able to try to make a move for Calais Campbell.
Calais Campbell, I'll take it. I mean, the guy's old, but still, I think that he's a leader out there and he's a presence. So I would definitely take that. So we'll see what they do come the trade deadline. I think it's November 5th.
I think that's when the deadline is done with. But then there's other options too, the Titans are definitely giving up sales for Harold Landry and Arden Key possibly. And then I heard Sebastian Joseph Day is another guy that we brought in last year, so he might be another candidate.
Yeah. So, well, and I'm not sure if I'm mistaking November 5th for the trade deadline or for voting day. I'm not sure. I've been hearing both dates being thrown out there. Last question. Ricky Pearsall will be able to replace Brandon Ayuk.
No, he's not going to be able to replace. So I'm going to say punt because that's not going to be easy to replace Brandon Ayuk. Next year, he's going to come back, but I think Pearsall's going to step in and play at a very good level. But to replace what BA has, that's going to be tough.
I'm actually going to go for it. I think that Ricky Pearsall can replace what Brandon Ayuk brings to the offense. I think I saw enough of what he did last week to where if he continues to excel and continues to improve, I think he can be what we got out of Brandon Ayuk, especially this year. Which I guess that's not saying much, but I think he can be that X receiver.
Okay, so I guess you were based by production wise. Yeah, I think he can replace the production, but replacing him going forward, no.
No. I think for this year, he could be that guy. Moving forward in the next year, in the future, that I'm not sure of yet. I mean, BA signed with us for long term, but
okay, then I'm going for it then. Okay, because I wasn't sure what you meant specifically.
I should have said this season. I guess that would have been better. But
okay, so I'm going for it then.
You're going to go for it. Okay, so that was the final question of 4th and 1. I'm going to break this off into a segment, so be on the lookout for that. And the last question, as we wrap things up here on 4th and 1, is score predictions. What is your score prediction for the Niners and Buccaneers coming out the bye week?
You know, when we come off the bye week, we look like a different football team. So I'm going to say Niners 35, Buccaneers 17.
Okay. Dude, you basically read my mind. But just to change it up, I'm going to say Niners are going to win 34-14.
Okay.
Very similar. I think that this is going to be a statement game. The Niners come out and just really kick the shit out of them to show the rest of the NFL, like, hey, we mean business moving forward. I think they beat the Seahawks. I actually think they beat the Packers, even with Jordan Love.
Yeah, even if Jordan Love is playing, I would say the win in Green Bay would pretty much be the obvious choice, but it wouldn't be a shocker if we beat Buffalo somehow. It wouldn't be a shocker.
Well, Buffalo, I think, will be harder because it's Sunday Night Football, and it's at night, and we're in Buffalo where it's a lot colder, so you're in a really shitty environment. So I think that might be the, and that's another reason. Well, and that's another reason why I think the Niners might hold back Dre Greenlaw, because you're talking about, the Packers and the Bills, both of them are going to be in somewhat cold environments. I don't know if you want Greenlaw to come back to that environment in his first game back. If you waited till the Bears game, then you'd have him back in Levi's with better weather, warmer weather, and that could be where they're targeting him. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But guys, that's going to do it for 4th and 1. I want to thank everyone who came out here today, everyone who was viewing on X, on YouTube. Definitely like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels on YouTube, Dre Area Sports and CG Ruthless. And Chris, what do you got going for the rest of the week, man?
Just chill, do another podcast for today, and then the rest of the day, just relax and enjoy the entire week, man. Just watch college football and watch NFL, man.
Absolutely. This week, I will not be live this Sunday for post-game live because there is no Niner game, so you won't see me there, but you will see me next week, next Tuesday at 11 a.m. for the NorCal Sports Report. And NorCal Sports Report for IU Sports Radio, we're about to change it up, so we're actually going to be moving that time to prime time because my schedule's going to change. So it'll be more of an afternoon show, so get ready for that as well. But guys, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, this show is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use promo code Dre Area Sports to save $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. Use Chris's promo code CG Ruthless to also save an additional $20 on your first purchase over at SeatGeek.com. And of course, we're brought to you by Power Brand Systems. Use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 on your first purchase over at Power Brand Systems. Use the referral link in the description below when making that first purchase. They will build you a website for your social media, for your YouTube channel, for your small business, large business. They will do the job and get it done the right way. One example of the kind of work that they do, then check out my website, which is Nicotina.net. That's the homepage for all three of my channels. Memberships are available under Dre Area Sports. And memberships start as low as $1 a month. So that's the best way to support the channel because I don't have to share the revenue with either Patreon or YouTube. It goes directly to the channel. So definitely go to Nicotina.net under Dre Area Sports and become a member of the team here at the Dre Area Sports channel. And of course, we're brought to you by BetUS. Use promo code Dre Area Sports when making your bet over at BetUS. They offer live betting, incredible odds with daily odd boosters, props, and parlays, fastest payouts, and exceptional one-on-one customer service. Use promo code Dre Area Sports. They will match you up to 125% on your first 3 deposits, up to $2,000. BetUS is where the game begins. Chris, we'll do it again next week. I thought we just did a fire show. I don't care what anybody says.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bro.
All right, guys. Niners, Buccaneers in 2 weeks. We'll be back next week to talk about that game coming up. In the meantime, enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your Saturday, and we'll see you next week for another episode of 4th and 1. Peace!